Welcome to Loathsome Things, a horror movie podcast. I am Josh, the loathsome thing you receive visions of in the middle of doing something else. And with me is John, the loathsome thing lurking in the shadows of a crumbling edifice. John, what are we doing today?
Something loathsome?
Yeah.
We are going to talk about the another 1973 movie. If I believe the last one was as well.
No, you're wrong.
No, 74?
No.
Damn it.
1982.
82?
Yeah.
Good Lord, I wasn't even close.
No.
Now I'm wondering what I'm thinking about. You know what? Doesn't matter. We're talking about the 1973 film directed by Nicolas Roeg. The film's called Don't Look Now.
Yep. Nicolas Roeg, famously also the director of The Man Who Fell to Earth, yes. Full Body Massage, Erotic Tales Volume 3, The Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, The Adventures of Young Indiana Jones, The Adventures of Young Indiana Jones, Demons of Deception, and Puffball, The Devil's Eyeball.
Wow. I didn't know all that crap at the end there.
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
Yeah, his later career got real weird in the 90s and onward.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he got involved in some real, like, both Young Indiana Jones series and the movie.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
And what is this massage crap? What is that?
He directed a movie pretty soon after this and The Man Who Fell to Earth called Full Body Massage. And then he directed a segment in Erotic Tales Volume 3.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. Go out there and find that and watch it and let us know how that is.
Wow. He also co-directed Performance with Mick Jagger back in 1970.
Oh, yeah.
That movie's crazy. He plays two characters in it.
Mick Jagger does?
Yeah, that movie is wackadoo.
Okay, so even before The Man Who Fell to Earth, he was like, yes, I would like to do movies with the leading music people, please. Thank you.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, neat.
Yeah, I would like to expose them as the freaks that they are, even though everybody already knows that.
Yeah, maybe it was him since he was familiar with Mick Jagger and David Bowie. Maybe he was like, you guys should meet and do a music video together.
Yeah, you guys should meet, do a music video, and then get it on.
Yeah. Make little Mick Bowie babies.
That's right.
Possibly what you're thinking of. I noticed this is the same year as a lot of other big deal movies. It's the same year as The Wicker Man, The Exorcist. Those are the two ones at the same time. For context, this movie came out at the height of the giallo genre. It came out after Rosemary's Baby, but it came out before Texas Chainsaw Massacre, before The Omen, Carrie, Suspiria, Black Christmas. It definitely came out before The Brood, and it came out before The Sixth Sense.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Wow, it's weird because Basket Case isn't even close to being a 70s movie. It's so 80s.
It's very 80s.
So there you go. I mean, if there's one thing you can count on, it's me fucking something up bright and early in the episode.
It's okay. We definitely are still on our first take.
That's right.
It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Now this movie, Don't Look Now, is definitely a horror classic, and it's pretty creepy.
Yep. Yeah, it is sufficiently creepy. It's based on a short story by Daphne du Maurier.
Yeah, it's. I haven't read the story, but so I'm not sure how close the movie keeps to the story, but it certainly. I mean, however it went in the story, he certainly does a great job of taking it and putting it into the film context.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely worth a watch. It's it might be a little bit aged at this point. It might be one of those movies where Millennial and onward viewers might find it a little slow paced, but it's definitely, even then, if even if it's not at the pace that you might want, it's worth watching for the really good scenes that are in it. They're like really, really good moments. And also it obviously has had a huge impact on the genre as a whole.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. It does have a very 70s feel, particularly the sound effects are, because I watched it on my computer. So I watched it with headphones so I could hear every little thing. And the sound design is it's pretty strange.
Yeah.
It's a little over the top.
Yeah, there are definitely some artistic decisions going on in here. Also, maybe quasi-artistic decisions. One of the notes that I kept making in here is I could see the director or at least the cameraman thinking to themselves, maybe this is artistic.
Yeah, there's plenty of that. There's plenty of that very paranoid kind of late 60s, early 70s bits where somebody's walking down the street and people are leering creepily through a window or something that which is very Wicker Man-y as well, actually.
Yeah. This had pretty good, strong Wicker Man vibes. Like, obviously not trusting what's going on around you.
Yeah. That the main characters are going to be dupes in some way.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah. And it features a very young Donald Sutherland at his most lanky and elbowsome and nerdy phase.
Yeah, it's weird seeing him so young.
Yeah, he's like he is a Q-tip version of Donald Sutherland. It's really
yes, that's
really special.
Yeah, he did, and he did have his hair was pretty glorious, not quite as glorious as the guy from Basket Case, but Dwayne.
Yeah.
But getting up there.
Dwayne's was like, what if a mullet was permed?
A per mullet.
Yeah, the per mullet.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Oh no, this is a little bit more classic big white guy hair.
Yeah. And I guess we should say early on that we are going to spoil the daylights out of it. So this is definitely one. Generally this is going to be the case. I mean, if you haven't seen the movie, you should stop and go check it out before you listen to us act like idiots about it. But it's as much as any other, this one is certainly one that you don't want to. Yeah, I wouldn't spoil it. I would go see it first.
Yeah. Also, odds are that if you haven't seen the movie at this point and you're a fan of the genre to the point that you're listening to us talk about it, you've probably already had it spoiled for you.
Yeah, that's true.
Because this is legendary. A movie. Yeah, it's legendary, and it's a movie where there is only one scene that actually matters.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. As far as anytime you see a horror movie highlights reel, there's one scene in this movie that is always shown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's known for another scene, but that one they don't show so often.
Yeah. The controversial scene.
Yeah.
So stop this, go watch it. There's cool places you can see it, especially if you are a library card holder. So go do that and then come back and listen to us talk about it a bunch.
Yeah, it's available pretty much anywhere.
Yep. Yeah, including your video store. Just kidding.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Bye. And welcome back. So, John, we're talking about it as spoilers.
Yes.
Do you have any spoilers for us?
Well, the fucking dwarf lady.
Yeah, the fucking dwarf lady.
The dwarf killer.
Yeah.
I think is what she's called. People call her online. That was quite. Let me go back. The first time I saw this movie, I was a teenager and was still living at home with my mom, and it was something that was on some night late, and so I just kind of watched it, and I mean, even then I was getting the retro vibes, a little bit like this is kind of dated, a little bit awkward and stuff. So when you say that about people even younger than we are, I think that's definitely going to hold true. They're probably going to be like, come on, this is terrible, but it's give it a shot, hang in there. But I stuck with it, and I was young enough that I was still, easily fooled by movies, so I didn't see what was coming a million miles away. I imagine as an adult, especially if you've seen enough of these kinds of films, you probably can guess what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know if your guess is going to be, oh, of course, a dwarf with a crick in her neck is going to turn around and cut him in the neck.
Well, when he keeps seeing the figure in red, like lurking around all the corners in Venice, and the couple times that you see her running around, it's clearly a little person, and she has the gait of a dwarf,
Yeah, no, we got lots of good footage of his daughter walking around and what that looks like in a red coat, a red Mac, as the film insists on calling it.
Yeah.
Whereas we can see that is definitely not the same ambulatory situation going on with the killer.
No, or the handful of other children interspersed throughout the film in bright red clothing.
Yeah.
Just happen to be present. It's funny because the film is pretty much monochromatic almost. I mean, it's like just beige, gray, and then every once in a while a flash of bright red.
Yeah. It's got that real good 1970s all my clothes are tan feeling to it.
Yeah, it's really crazy. It really makes Venice look like a shithole.
It does. I was like, oh man, Venice is probably so nice. And then I watched this movie.
And you were like, wow, Venice is a crap tank.
Yeah. That doesn't look like it smells good.
Oh no. I mean, I guess he's there with, well, I guess we'll get into the story now.
We can do that, yeah.
Yeah. So the movie is this is kind of one of those movies where, some of the movies that we're going to cover, I'm realizing very quickly, are, movies that we can kind of go scene by scene without, taking 300 hours. This is not really one of those movies because there's just, even though it's a slow paced film, there's a lot of little things that that seem kind of relevant, like even in some of the deader moments of the film. So it's like, well, I don't want to, I took a million notes and none of them are really that important. There were just things that I was like, oh, that's cool. I guess I should make a note of that. I never noticed it before because I never watched it with scrutiny,
Yep. Yeah, no, this was actually my first time watching it all the way through. I'd caught it from parts on TV before, but I'd never just sat my ass down and took it all in. So
yeah,
I'm gonna say I think you should lead the way on this because my notes are more sporadic and less thorough this time through.
Yeah. Well, it opens with a kind of a cinematic technique that is used. And it's used in other movies as well, where the movie will kind of jump around in time, and certain scenes will, become, they'll have a certain type of, they'll be presented as if they're supposed to maybe mean something specific, but then later you realize it means something else. And, time can be a little bit fluid in this movie in a way, even though the storyline is fairly linear. But it opens, supposed to be, I'm assuming it's in England, and you see this pond kind of area, or it's raining really heavily. It kind of zooms in, and that opening shot is actually repeated later in the film, I think at the end. But anyways, it goes straight from there, and it cuts to Venice, and essentially let's see, I'm sure I could just introduce the characters. It's a married couple. Julie Christie plays the wife. Her name is Laura, and Donald Sutherland is the husband. His name's John. I think they're the Baxters, if I remember correctly. So anyways, yeah, so it cuts right away to Venice, and then it cuts back to the daughter of the Baxters in her Mac, and she's got a wheelbarrow, and she's playing, and then she's playing with some sort of army toy that has an incredibly large list of things that it says that are so specific.
Yeah, it's I made a note of that. It's what is it called? It's called the Action Man Patrol.
Oh, you actually figured out what it was?
Yeah. Well, no, it says it. Action Man Patrol.
Right.
You know, the enemy is at, 100 meters or something like that.
Yes. It's a pretty intense toy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and in a female voice.
Yeah. So we realize that this family lives or this child is on a large estate. It's a big property. And then at some point she's playing with this ball and she's throwing it around and stuff, and it ends up in the water. And then it cuts back to Donald Sutherland. He's looking at slides of like the insides of a cathedral or a church. And his wife is sitting at the fireplace and she's reading, and they kind of have a little bit of an interaction. Mm-hmm. And he's looking at one of the slides, and he sees sitting in the church pew on the right of the slide from the back, a figure in a red coat.
Yeah. And he thinks that's neat.
Yeah, he thinks that's neat. And then it cuts back to the daughter, and she's playing in the water. And then there's this boy comes riding up on a bike. And there's a scene where he rides over a piece of glass on the ground and falls. And it's, so there's a lot of cuts kind of back and forth. They're not like, not like cuts today where it's like 500 shots in a quarter of a second. But
yeah,
it's just kind of tying the two things together, which in retrospect is, probably trying to imply or to signify that he's like sensitive, so to speak. Like Donald is, or John, let's say, is.
I'm going to be calling him Donnie South in this.
Donnie South, D Southie is has some sort of psychic ability apparently, which he doesn't realize, but we find out later.
Yeah. Yeah, and part of his interaction with his wife is the fact that the daughter, Christine or Christie, I don't remember.
Yeah, Julie Christie, yeah. Christine, the daughter, yeah.
Yeah. Christine, the daughter, asked her, if the world is round, why is a frozen pond flat? And so she's like you do in the 70s, she's pulled out all of the books and is looking for an answer to that, which also is kind of a little bit of the foreshadowing of what's to come.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. And also the world is round. Let's get that out of the way.
Yeah, the world is round. They even say it there. They're like, oh yeah, no, this lake has like 3 degrees of difference from one shore to the next.
That's so great.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculously specific.
Yeah.
So and then at one point, Donald Sutherland tosses, I don't even know what it is, but he tosses something to his wife. And it's a really bad throw, and he spills a glass of water. It breaks. He cuts himself, and then it cuts right away to the daughter throwing the ball back in the water, and then back to Donnie South, and he looks at his slide, and his blood has dripped right on the location of where the person is sitting with their back to the pew in the red, and it kind of like runs across the slide. Mm-hmm. The blood, which was a nice little, very subtle foreshadowing.
Yeah. And he sees that, and he then premonites the bad thing and runs outside.
Yeah, he appears to like suddenly have some flash of what the fuck is going on, and he runs outside right away, concerned, and his wife's like, "What the hell's going on?" And he gets out there. And he finds his daughter in the water. They're covered in mud. She's dead. Yep. And then we begin with the tremendous amount of moaning.
Yeah. He even the scene of him going into the water is weird because he goes into the water with full gusto, and then he kind of just stops for a while, and he's just there standing in the water, just not doing anything. And then he goes in, comes up with the daughter, is covered in mud, has a very hard time getting back to shore, and is just making lots of mouth noise. Also, the sound design on this scene is really weird because it goes from like dark brooding music to at a certain point there's just harps playing happily, which I guess signifies that the daughter's soul is going to heaven.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It was maybe trying to make some spiritual connection between her death and his. I don't know.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Yeah. And in there, the son was calling for help, and we saw that the son was trying to check the tires on his bicycle, and that he'd pulled a piece of glass out of his bicycle, and that his hand was bleeding. So that's just in there too.
Yeah. And don't get too attached to the son. I mean,
well, they certainly aren't.
Yeah, the daughter's done already, and then the son, you pretty much don't see him too much. He's the children are really, for as cut up as they seem to be about the daughter dying, they really don't seem to give a shit at all.
Yeah, not really.
He certainly doesn't.
No.
It's so weird. It's like they're the worst parents.
Yeah, no. I have a note in here later on. Like, there was a certain point during the movie where I was like, where the hell is their son? Because after this scene, he's got the daughter. It's not fully realized that she's dead, but it's heavily implied. Yeah. There's even a scene where, like, the wife finally figures out that something's wrong eventually by looking out the window and sees him and screams like she's afraid of him.
Yeah, you hear the horrible scream.
Yeah, and then that whole scene is over, and all of a sudden we are in Venice.
Yay!
Yeah,
wintry gray Venice.
Yep. Yeah, and they're working on the old moldering bricks of a building, and on the version I was watching, I put on closed captions because a lot of Italian was being spoke, and every time someone said anything in Italian, the closed captionings put in brackets "speaking Italian."
Yeah, they don't translate it for some reason.
I was like, oh, damn it. So this whole movie where lots of Italian is spoke, there's no translation. So there's a whole layer of this movie that I do not understand because I don't speak Italian.
Yeah, there's several minutes of just per portocare, chicken paturi.
Yep. Especially for the hotel staff, which we'll get to.
Oh my God.
But yeah, the hotel staff is very strange, and I have no idea what their problem is.
Well, I think what it is the guy that's running the hotel is the cousin of the guy that runs the Hotel Brazenly in New York.
He's Italian. Yeah, his cousin from back home, Italy.
Hey, run the hotel.
Hey, Dirty Lou, you sound familiar.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Same guy.
Maybe this is the guy from Hotel Brazenly, but this is, 10 years earlier, back whenever he was still a respectable hotelier.
A respectable hotelier with a really bad wig.
Yeah, and a staff that's just kind of also there. I don't know.
Just a bunch of bumbling Italians.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you send it around for?
Yeah. And one guy that guards the door and has an English accent for some reason.
Yeah, that was like his summer job. I mean, his summer job.
Yeah. I don't know. It's very strange. But yeah, so they're in Venice now. Donnie South's not giving a fuck about no dead daughters. He's just got to fix some Catholic edifice going on. Yeah,
that's just, gotta fix it. It's
broke. Yeah, and the scene switches to where they're in I wouldn't say an Italian restaurant just because it's a restaurant in Italy. It's just a restaurant in Italy.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to have any particular. Yeah, it's just a restaurant. Exactly.
Yeah, just continental food, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of formal look that all restaurants seem to have back then.
Yeah. And his wife is there, and they're talking about slides to the point that he's even, like, later in the scene, we see that he's still looking at the same slide of the inside of the church with the red hooded figure sitting in a pew. Mm-hmm. So it makes it feel like not a lot of time has passed because he's still on the same job. Like, he's still thinking about the same thing, working on the same thing.
Yeah, that's true. And there's that one little bit. There's a bit where he hears he hears something and he sees was it a rat outside or something? I guess we'll get to that. Or no, I think we already passed that up, did we? No.
I think that's later when him and his wife are walking around the at night, and he stops and there's a rat, and she's like, "Oh fuck, I'm getting out of here."
Oh, no, this is okay. I know what it was. They're sitting at the table, and he says, "Man, it's really cold in here."
Oh yeah,
and so he opens a window in winter.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
Throws the windows open, and apparently there's like a gale outside.
Yeah. Well, because it's also the doors are open, and so when he opened the window, it caused a cross breeze, which flung some shard into an old lady's eyeball. To which his response was to close the door, go back to his table, pretend nothing ever happened, and move on with his day.
But and then he looks out the window and he sees something like on the sidewalk, and then when the lady complains about my eye, and then he turns around and looks out the window again, and the thing is gone. And I looked at it several times. I could not figure out what it was.
Oh, neat.
I thought it was a rat. I have no idea, but it's for some reason it seemed like it was supposed to matter, but I have no clue what it was.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Yeah.
So then, so the lady with the thing in her eye goes super dramatic.
And it takes forever, too.
Yeah.
And he goes back to the table. They just keep talking about stuff. And then after some conversation happens, the lady finally like starts going towards the bathroom and like even like boops into the back of Laura. And so then they like go to the wrong place, and Laura decides that she should get up and help the two old ladies get shit out of their eye.
Yeah. And so she goes into the bathroom, and we discover that the one without shit in her eye is totally blind.
Yeah, is totally blind, and also there is
in her eye.
Yeah, not just blind, but like full blown like cataracts, like like the milky eyed blind. I don't know what causes that other than cataracts, but
yeah,
like
it was creepy looking.
Yeah. Also, there is a indignant bathroom attendant in the woman's room.
Yeah,
it's just sitting in a dark recess, staring at them the whole time.
Jeez.
Yeah. I don't know what that was about, but I guess, Europe, the 70s, I don't know.
Yeah. I've been to Italy, and I didn't have that experience. I have to say.
You didn't have the indignant woman in the recess of the men's room?
No, nobody leering at me anywhere I went, really, that I remember. It was actually quite sunny.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome to our country. Which no one ever said to me.
Yeah. Okay. And then, so we find out that the lady's blind. They make a whole thing about getting the piece of shit out of her eye. The lady that can see. There was a thing about the blind woman getting it out, and she was like, "What the fuck are you talking about? The last time you tried to get shit out of my eye, it didn't work very well." So apparently this is a thing that happens to her a lot.
These sisters really don't have a lot of luck with their eyes.
No. Yeah. And also, this is not going to be the last time that Donnie South abandoned a medical situation involving old ladies in this movie.
They're in the bathroom for a relatively long period of time, because then the psychic blind lady starts, getting all psychic with Laura about her daughter, and of course Laura is like, what?
My daughter? Yeah, she starts saying, and she's sitting next to you, and she's laughing.
That was a great scene, because all I could think was, there is no fucking way I would stay in that bathroom.
Yeah. At that point, I started to agree with the attendant in the dark recess. She's like, "Oh, fuck these people. Jesus Christ.
It's these two again."
Oh, no. Is it already Tuesday brunch? And so they have a whole nice talk about how Christine is with them and forgives them, or is happy with them. Is a good thing. It's a good dead child situation. Yeah.
That's right. She said she can sense her presence sitting between them or something.
Yeah. And then it's kind of over, and they all go back outside. And that is when Laura decides that it is time to rip the shit out of this restaurant.
Yeah, jeez. She passes out in grand style.
Yeah, she waits all the way until she's back at the table and Donnie South can see her, and then she passes out in the most destructive way possible. And I love that Donnie South sucks at his wife passing out so much that she passes out, knocking over the table, like basically trying to knock everything off the table first. And his reaction time is save the table. So, like,
who will save the table?
She is plummeting to the floor, which is covered in broken glass, and he's trying to prevent the food from spilling.
He's trying to keep the butter curls in the bowl.
Yeah. Oh no, this olive oil is extra virgin.
Oh my God. Who will speak for the olive oil?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of a douche.
Yeah, yes. He's kind of the worst. So she goes all passed out, and then we get a cool scene where they're loading into an ambulance boat, which includes a lot of luggage being thrown back and forth, and everyone staring. And they then are at the hospital.
Yeah, it turns out the closest hospital was a children's hospital.
Yeah, and they gave her the bed with a nice window view of the Childeredom, where she can just sit there and watch children that are apparently disease-ridden and breathing and slobbering all over each other.
This is the hospital that has 2 rooms.
Yeah.
One with all the children and one with the room you hang out in and watch them.
Yeah. It's a special kind of Venetian hospital.
One that's caked with illness.
It is crumbling.
Yeah. Of course, there's a kid in there playing with a ball, like a little ball that kind of similar. Yeah. And she makes Google eyes with one of the kids, and it's really cute.
Yeah, and at no point thinks about her son, who is still alive and just not with them.
Not even the slightest thought given for their son.
Oh, all of these dying children are so cute.
Who they've abandoned in England, apparently just wandering the streets.
Yeah.
They don't even tell you what happened to him or anything.
All that we really know is that at some point he was, I guess, assaulted horribly.
Yeah. God, it was weird. It was like, I actually watching it, I forgot that they had a son because he was so irrelevant to the plot.
Yeah. These people, they're definitely not attachment parents.
Jeez.
Yeah. So they.
Well, she's all joyous. Yeah, she's all happy.
Yeah, she's blissing out. She's living her best life now. And he shows up and he tells her all about it, all about how Christine is still with us. And he's like,
bullshit.
I don't really know how it moves on from there to the next thing.
Well, he basically comes to take her out of the hospital because she's doing okay. She says she's feeling great. You know, ever since she's talked to these ladies, she's super excited. And so they're walking through the streets of Venice, and he's doing his and as they're walking along, they come across let's see, we actually see another kid with a red ball, of course, just in case you don't want to.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say that they get in the boat and they start like floating around Venice like you do.
Oh, that's right. They're in a boat. They're not walking.
Yeah, and they come across what we can tell is a crime scene because there's one guy that's supposedly dusting for fingerprints by pouring out like a 5-pound size bag of fingerprint dust on one spot on the railing. And meanwhile, people in Italian that are up on a balcony are yelling in Italian to the Italian boat driver, who is yelling back at them. And everyone's yelling Italian at each other. And Donnie South tries to get in there by also yelling Italian.
Yeah, it's great because through about 2/3 of the movie, he seems like he speaks Italian really well. And then there's a scene where he's just like, como se dice?
Yeah. How do you say Italy?
It's like I guess we just chalk it up to he's panicking. I don't know.
Yeah, that was a really good scene too, because he's speaking bad Italian to a lady that doesn't speak English. So she goes to get her sister, who also does not speak English.
Just 3 people bumbling for like a minute and a half.
Cannoli.
God. Yeah. So their pathway, the way that I assume they were trying to go is blocked. The boat is blocking it. Mm-hmm. And it appears to be some sort of a murder scene.
Mm-hmm. We see a detective guy that gets a little bit of camera focus on it that comes into play later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy's a douchebag.
Yeah, I've got notes.
Yeah.
And then they end up going into a random ass church because she wants to light a candle, to which Donnie South replies, "Oh, Laura."
That's so weird.
Yeah.
Wah, wah.
Yeah, it's like such a weird, like Brady Bunch era sitcom line.
I want to buy a candle.
Yeah.
How much are they, or whatever? And then he's like, they're this much. He's like looking at his coins, and then it's like, I don't have this much or whatever. And she says, maybe I'll just take 6.
Yeah, it does. That doesn't make sense. They have a whole conversation about coins and candles, and he's like, it's this much. I don't have this much. And she was like, oh, okay, well, I want 6. And then he gives her, so you would think that it's because they don't have small enough change, but then he gives her like 3 coins. I don't understand the increments of what's going on there. Yeah, but she starts just pumping the candle vending machine full of coins and plucking them out. Meanwhile, he goes and plays with a light bulb.
Yeah, just dicks around with a lamp for a little while.
Yeah. Then he sees the blind lady and her sister and starts playing a weird game of peekaboo with the blind lady. For some reason, just covering his face with his gloves, and her just looking so happy at a church she can't see.
Yeah, that was a weird scene.
Yeah. Then his wife comes up behind him, accuses him of his weird peekaboo pose being him praying, at which point he realizes that he is an hour and a half late.
That's right. Yeah, somewhere he has an appointment with a really creepy bishop.
Yeah, he had an appointment with the creepy bishop an hour and a half ago.
He was too busy playing peekaboo with a blind lady.
Yeah. He was not in a hurry up until this moment. And they have a whole scene. The bishop is just there. I put priest. I don't know the ranks.
Yeah.
And his wife kisses his ring. There's a lot of, this scene is very strange because there's a lot of weird focus. Like at one point he opens up his robe to pull something out of it, and the camera like zooms in on like what's going on in his clothes. And there's a lot of attention paid to like what he's wearing and stuff. And I don't know why.
Yeah, I didn't understand that because he didn't really have a lot of relevance in the movie ultimately.
No, but he did have what we'll talk about later as the world's smallest bed.
It's like a plank with a tiny mattress.
It is itty bitty, and he sleeps in it.
Maybe that's why he's so grumpy.
Maybe so.
I can't seem to get enough of sleep.
They talk about things like they talk about how the church belongs to God, but God doesn't seem to care for it. They talk about how maybe God has other priorities, or maybe we forgot to listen. I don't know. Whole thing going on.
Yeah.
He asks her if she's Christian, because she kissed his ring. Later, that scene is over, and he's like, Donnie South is like, "Why did you kiss the ring?" And they both have a whole giggle about it.
A hearty chortle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole scene was strange and really didn't even matter, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, no, I have a note here. Weird focus on the priest's clothes. This becomes very important to the plot.
Does it?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, did I miss something?
No.
I guess they just were really proud of wardrobe or something.
Yeah, I guess so. They're damn, that is some authentic looking livery.
I mean, aside from the obvious, hit you over the head obviousness of showing like a spiritual leader or something as that ties this into the spiritual world or some nonsense, but there's plenty of that already. They don't really need him to represent anything.
Yeah, I think part of what this movie is going for, like this was the same year as The Exorcist. I think, this was a time in which movies like this were about embracing the spiritual in a number of ways and not just leaning full tilt into secularism.
That's true.
And I think this movie was kind of doing that because we have, a priest and we have psychics. And instead of it being like priests versus psychics, the psychics are good Christians that believe it's a gift from God and that it's not just like doing weird stuff. Like you should use it the way God intended you to use your psychic powers. And then the priest is also like, oh yeah, no, that's totally normal.
Yeah.
We know about that here in Catholicism.
Yeah, they're all about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true though, and it was kind of a 70s deal, wasn't it?
Yep. And then after that, there's a scene in which Donnie South and his wife be naked in a bathroom for a while.
Yeah, she goes and takes a bath, and then he goes and takes a shower.
Mm-hmm.
And
she calls him fat.
She calls him fat. She says he has little lumpies on his side, which is her joke for his love handles, which he doesn't have.
Yeah,
because he looks like a fucking pencil.
Yeah. This is full blown Q-tip era Donnie South.
Jeez. And then we see the other Q-tip as he's in the mirror.
Yeah.
They didn't show the wiener though.
No wiener, no vagine.
No vagine, just lots of hair.
No prong nor clunge.
That's right.
And then
but they do proceed to get it on.
Yeah. They get it on, but not. Hold up. Wait.
Sorry.
It's not until after she stands beside him while he looks at himself thinking he's fat and she starts digging around for treasure in her nipple for some reason. She's just like making sure that everything's still in there. And then he goes to his drawing chair.
Oh, that's right.
And he's still naked and he sits down and then the maid comes in and his response to the maid coming in is to swivel the chair towards her so that he's more facing her and touch his dick.
It's like, huh?
Yeah.
And then he's kind of like, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. She leaves. He's like, that's fine.
It's Italy.
We don't see that maid again until later when she's coming out of the bathroom having obviously just finished taking a shit.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
These stabs at humor in this film are so strange.
It's very, very weird. She says, isn't it a miracle I didn't hurt myself fainting? He says, the unconscious mind reacts faster. And that's, like what I was talking about with the secularism versus spiritualism. Yeah. I think that was like a little nod to it. But yes, then in fact, they do, I would say, have sex.
Yeah, they have sex for a considerable amount of time on screen.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
This is a like a very apparently a controversial scene.
Yep. Yeah. There's Donnie South does some really interesting arm maneuvers while they fuck.
Yeah. What was that?
I don't know. He was like trying to get around her. Well, I don't know. He just wanted her face to be in his armpit.
He looked like he was rock climbing for a second there.
On belay on.
Yeah, so they have. I mean, it looks fairly. Aside from that part, it looks fairly realistic. And I guess the impression in 1973 was that it was real, and that they really were having sex. And then there were rumors that someone that was on set had spread some rumor around that he saw wiener going into vagine.
Gasp!
And then it turns out later that that the guy admitted that wasn't true or something like that. And Julie Christie's boyfriend at the time was, oh God, what's his name? The guy from, I'll think of his name later. But anyways, it was like another Warren Beatty. And he was upset because, all these rumors were, wiener stuff and rumors were going around. So it was like this big deal at the time. The film even got an X rating in the US, I remember.
Yeah. Yeah. Even though the sex scene is interspersed with clips of them getting dressed, and so like there's Donnie South with a face full of muff, and then a split second later there's Donnie South not able to find the garment he wants to wear in the closet.
That's right.
There's and even go ahead.
Sorry. No, it doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Okay. I wanted to say there's even there's a scene of kind of humping, and then there's a scene of him doing the little hop you do when you zip up your zipper.
Because your belly's too big to get to.
Yes.
Except he doesn't have one.
Yeah, he's got the little zip up there, and it's just so weird. Yeah. So the getting dressed interspersed with sex. I put the note, this scene becomes very important to the plot.
Yeah. The sex scene is it really does go on for too long. It's just kind of, it's like, okay, they're getting it on. But that's all you really need to know is that they're getting it on. Yeah. Yeah. And that they seem to be, it's kind of the last time that they'll be enjoying each other's company in this film.
Yeah, yeah, they're working on. They really are happiest whenever they are ignoring two children. So they got to work on that.
Yeah, yeah, that was, yeah.
I mean, there is artistic value in this scene. Obviously, it was groundbreaking to the point that they had to break it up with all of this other footage just to make it a movie that could be in the United States. So I'm making fun of it, but it has value. It's also showing us that, even though he might seem like whatever, they still have a passionate relationship. It's building sympathy between us and the characters. So it's good. I'm just being mean.
Yeah, no, I think it just, as far as runtime, I mean, it was a really long scene. I was kind of surprised, but yeah, it's shot well, and it's, it's believable. I mean, They seem to have some sort of chemistry, which is interesting because, throughout most of the rest of the movie is kind of them almost missing each other, so to speak. They're just in different orbits a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, so they finish getting dressed. They leave the hotel, to which the hotel manager is like, "Oh, you're of course you're going to eat dinner here in the hotel," and he's like, "Nah, peace." and so the hotel manager's just standing there, and two other hotel employees are just standing there, and we just see them be disappointed that they're not going to eat dinner there and then go back to their business. I don't know. I don't know why this hotel staff is so weird or what their deal is. It's very strange.
It seemed like it was kind of like the joke was kind of that, they were the last guests in the hotel that would otherwise be closed for the season. And I got the impression that they were maybe keeping it open just a day or two extra just for them. So
maybe so.
Yeah, so when the guy, he's like, "Hey, you want the table by the window?" or whatever the hell he says.
Yeah.
Just assuming they're going to eat there, and then Donnie South is like, "Oh no, we're going to eat oot tonight."
Yeah.
Then they leave, and then their hijinks ensue with the hotel manager and the most depressed looking hotel employees I've ever seen.
I should have never left Hotel Brazenly.
God, I thought that person by the door was going to start crying. But I curled all the butter.
Oh no! The nice Americans, why?
Oh my God! Who will wear corduroy in front of me now?
Oh my God. Okay. Yep. It's so sad.
It really is. It's a sad scene, but we must go on.
Yeah. So at this point, they get lost in Venice.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, no, it's through here, and they traverse several dark alleyways to the point that they ha ha ha, dark alleyways. And then he comes into a dark alleyway section where there is a rat on the steps that lead to the water. And he's like, oh, this wall, I must almost touch it with my hand. And she's like, ew, a rat, I'm getting out of here. And so then she runs away through the dark alleyways of Venice. And they are now separated. And then they try to find each other in the dark alleyways, at which point Donnie South hears a death scream. He hears shouting in Italian, and he sees a figure in a red slicker shuffle by real quick.
That's right.
Yeah. And,
probably not important for the story later.
Yeah, probably not important for the story. And his reaction to this is nil.
Yeah.
Yeah, he basically figures out how to find his wife, and they go about their day as one would.
Yeah, that was that part was strange.
Yeah, that part.
Yeah, and nothing else in the entire movie was strange.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know if you have other things on this scene.
No, not really. I just that guy just whips the shutters open, and then there's this huge scream. And then you see the character run away, and Donnie South is completely unmoved. And then that's the end of the scene, basically.
Yep. Then we see it's the next day. Donnie South is working on getting a statue in place on the side of a building. He is as precariously placed as possible. And his wife, for some reason, has come to his workplace that day and is just standing, watching him almost die by falling, looking entirely bored. And the statue has a bag over it. It kind of looks like there's blood on the bag. Ooh. This whole scene, I put a note, becomes very important to the plot. There's even a scene in which he's yelling in Italian at another guy because there is a bag or a rope lazily draped over the statue bag, and they're yelling at each other about how to get it off. And then he just spends a good 30 seconds of screen time being terrible at removing a rope from on top of a bag.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's real torturous.
It's like, you fool, this rope, I'll take it off. 3 hours later, he removes a rope that's just slightly draped over the thing.
Yeah, Donnie South sucks at getting a rope off a thing.
And treats Italians like garbage.
Yes. Meanwhile, Laura has wandered off because she's bored, and she just happened to wander off in the same direction as the sister ladies.
Yay!
Yeah.
More psychic talk for you.
This is where we find out that they are Christian psychics.
Yeah.
They do not go in for all that mumbo jumbo.
That's right. That phrase apparently actually does matter for some reason.
It's a scientific term.
Yeah, that's right.
1970s.
Yeah, Laura goes into all the kind of all the details of Christine's death, and which of course we already know. But let's see, what I'm trying to remember what happens there. Oh yeah, the blind lady tells Laura that she thinks that John is psychic, and that she's explaining why he knew that. That's how he was able to recognize that something was wrong when he runs outside and finds the daughter. Yep. When there's nothing really technically that's triggered that for him, and they end up inviting Laura over to her to their place, and then she's like telling John all about this, and he's just kind of like,
yeah. She talked to them about how she's felt empty ever since Christine died, and she even, there's like a little scene in there where she kind of blames Donnie South for it, because he said that the children should be allowed to play wherever they want, and that's why the kids were playing near the pond.
Yeah, that's right.
It's just real offbeat, but it's in there. It doesn't get hammered down on, but I thought that was interesting.
Definitely.
And then they go and, they talk about it, and she's going to go hang out with those old ladies at night.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there's right before that. There's a scene where he splits up. He and his wife split, and you see way down in the distance, like a little character in red peek around a corner at him.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
It was pretty hard to spot.
Nice.
I think I only saw it because it was on a computer monitor. If I'd seen it on the TV, I probably would have missed it.
Yep. Yeah. I watched this on TV. I'll have to look for all of the little missing things again.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean never watch this movie again, probably.
Nice.
And yeah, so they split up, and he decides to go get drunk while she's hanging out with psychics.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yep. Really drunk.
Yeah, get real, like, let's go trespassing drunk.
Yeah, that's
right. This is the point at which I realized, wait, where the hell is their son? Because she goes into the old lady's hotel room, and they've brought the photos of several children, and they're on display, including next to one is a bust of a child. I don't think we really get a full description of why they have all these photos and busts of children. They're just children that these ladies have collected the images of. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't get it. I think the bust, I think the kid's name was Angus, but I think Angus was he was the son of the sighted sister, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Because didn't she say something like, "It's so hard when one loses one"?
Oh, yeah. 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 Then there's nothing that can replace the dead one.
That's right.
And that one keeps like trying to get people to drink with her. She's like, "Yeah, drink some whiskey." No, and then she leaves, and then she comes back later and she says, "You haven't drank your whiskey."
That's right. They're really pushing the whiskey.
Yeah. Then they have like a little seance-y scene, to which the blind lady's like, Are your legs crossed? She asks her if her legs are crossed, and I don't know what that has to do with it. I don't know if like that's something that she's psychic about, so it's like a really gross thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't know what the hell that was. That was I was like, is that a psychic thing? You can't cross your legs? I don't know.
I don't know. But meanwhile, while they're getting all this mojo started, we switch back to Donnie South, who has gotten shit hammered. And he is, I guess, in the hotel that they are supposedly in. And there's the little handbell to summon an orderly, which he begins ringing aggressively, like a drunk would do.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, he like rings it real hard, waits an entire 3 seconds, starts ringing it again, goes behind the desk at that point and starts rummaging through the hotel's notes, and then keeps ringing the bell. To which point he decides, all right, well, I'm just going to go loiter in the hallways and snoop around people's rooms.
Yeah. That was interesting.
Yeah.
Like, just traipsing about the hotel.
Yeah. At which point the people in the hotel get mad at him and chase him out. So he goes back to the bar to get more drunk and wait for Laura.
Yeah. Yeah, the guys in the robes, the robed men.
Hey,
what do you do in the hallway?
Yeah. Then we switch back to the seance.
Oh, the seance.
Apparently, being a Christian psychic means once you connect with the spirit you're looking for, you stand up, grab your boobs, rub them thoroughly, and just go, yes, 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 over and over again.
Yeah, that was, I'm not sure what was going on there. She was just mauling herself.
Yeah, she was getting in there with both hands, no wrong answers.
I didn't
freestyling.
I was like, freestyling. I couldn't tell if that was supposed to be like, does this have something to do with them having sex earlier, but that didn't make any sense. It was just, that's just some psychic thing, I guess.
Yep.
Boob mashing.
Yeah. Check out these crystal balls.
Or orgasmically screaming.
Yeah.
God, I would have been out the door, man.
Yeah. And then I don't really know. At a certain point, she does leave.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it gets too much for her, I guess.
Yeah,
because the psychic flips the fuck out.
Yeah. Which becomes a pretty common theme for her throughout the rest of the movie.
Jeez, yeah.
And she goes back and finds Donnie South, and they go back home. To which point it is made obvious that she is like happy about what happened and, like chatty and trying to tell him all the cool things. And he is drunk.
She's telling him his life's in danger. And
all of these things. You're a lightened psychic. And he's like, I feel sick. She's like, oh, but things are so great. And Christine loves us. And maybe we shouldn't be in Venice. And he's like, I think I have to go throw up.
And he does.
He does. And then this is, for me, the greatest moment in the whole movie. He comes back from vomiting for a while. And he says, I wouldn't go in there for a couple of minutes if I were you. I haven't thrown up for 10 years. So it's like,
it really didn't sound like a 10-year throw up.
It's like it's been building up and it must.
It's like an unattended fire hose.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you might not want to go in there. I just took a big stanky old throat dump.
Yeah, that was interesting. I wonder if that was in the script.
I know. Well, it must have been, because later it becomes very important to the plot.
Big old throat dump. Oh, Lordy.
And so now that he has vomited sufficiently for the first time in 10 years, please don't go to the bathroom. Then they get in a little disagreement about whether or not psychic is cool. And he convinces her, or she gets to the point where she's like, maybe I should start taking my pills again. And he's like, yes, take your pills again. Here, they're right over here. And he he gets her some water. He's like, please take your pills again.
Yeah, that was, he was a little too eager for that.
Yeah.
Perhaps I should take my pills again. Yes.
Yeah. So like all the way up until this point, she's been, okay, psychics, but she's actually been happier. And he's just like, ugh, no.
Yeah.
And then she takes a pill and asks him, hey, could you take some time off of work? Maybe a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just put the whole entire job on hold.
Yeah. And that becomes like a weird conversation that doesn't get resolved. And then there's a phone call.
That's right.
To which we see it switches between him on the phone saying hello and someone else on a phone somewhere else saying hello, switching back to Donnie South, hello. The person at somewhere else, hello. And it just keeps going for a while.
For no reason.
For no reason. I don't know why it was like that. Is that how phones worked in 1973?
I guess.
Hello?
Takes a minute for the connection to catch up.
I don't know. It was so intense.
Yeah. So we find out that's the headmaster from the son who we forgot they had's school.
Yep.
And he's just had a little accident. It's just no need to be alarmed.
Yeah.
Is it late there? I don't know. Is it late because there are so many time zones away?
Yeah, in Europe time zone.
Jeez.
And yeah, it turns out their son has been at boarding school this whole time, which, okay, now we know. We get, is this where we get a flash of what's wrong with the kid and we see he has a huge, disgusting zit wound on his forehead?
I think that comes later.
Oh, okay. Okay. It looks like someone has taken a hammer to his forehead and ruined him as a individual personality.
Yeah, that's like, and somebody has installed a golf ball under a skin flap on his forehead.
Yeah, it's pretty gory.
Yeah, he definitely bumped his noggin.
Yeah, it's good.
Jeez.
So they decide that she needs to go back to England, where they are obviously from, based on their accents. And then there's a whole thing with the hotel manager yelling at them about their stuff. We get a long camera sequences of ugly boats spewing smoke into the air.
That's right.
And then she's totes gone.
She is totes gone.
Yep. And when you are a Donnie South and people that you love go away, what do you do? It's time to go back to work.
Back to work.
Yep.
Back to the church.
Yep.
So we're back at the church. He's there. The bishop or the priest or whatever the guy is there. All the Italians are there.
Yep. Every Italian.
He's the priest presents him with like a piece of mosaic tile, which has been it. We do this in the family for many years.
Yeah. The firm has worked for my family for over 200 years. To which I wrote 2 notes. I put 1, gross. Also 2, becomes very important to the plot later on.
So Donald Sutherland decides to go up on the most unstable thing, like
scaffolding.
Swivel. Yeah, he goes up the scaffolding and then he ends up on this thing, this like swaying work swing.
Yeah, I called it the worst platform ever.
Oh, it was terrible.
It's real bad. And you even can see that the floor is basically a piece of plywood just laid on top of an empty frame.
It's bowing severely in the middle.
Yeah, he's just like got these little pieces of mosaic tile that he's comparing to the ones on the wall and just swaying like an idiot with his
Makes
feet
no sense.
while trying to keep his head and hand unmoving against a wall.
And then he matches up the tile, which looks exactly like the one next to it.
And I thought that was relief. I was worried.
Yeah, that was a nail biter.
Woo! This mosaic that could have been bad.
I mean, down 40 feet down on the floor, when you look up, if that mosaic didn't match, that would really be a problem.
These tones are not off.
And then all scaffolding hell breaks loose.
Yeah, a board out of nowhere, a board from heaven crashes into his shitty platform, spills mosaic tiles everywhere, and then we get an amazing sequence of Donnie South dangling.
And just hanging, swinging.
Yeah.
Making, so many moaning noises. It was so unnatural, like just these weird overdubbed moaning noises.
Yeah. Yep. And he starts he's the platform that he's on hasn't fallen. It's just half of it has come loose. Mm-hmm. And so the other half of it is still there. And he starts by hanging onto the solid metal frame that are handholds and support structure. He starts by hanging onto that, but gradually he Tarzans himself over clumsily to where now he's just hanging by a rope. He has abandoned the solid handholds and is now just doing rope stuff.
Yeah, it's just swinging back and forth on a rope and moaning.
Yeah, moaning for a long time.
While Italian people are scampering everywhere.
Yeah, we've got to rescue this American or whatever. The priest is down below trying to not get crushed by falling things. And we even see eventually it's fine. He's fine. He gets pulled in by some guy, and there's that awkward moment where he's like, "Oh, my feet are on the thing, but I still might fall." And then when they're walking out, we see that some glass has broken. It is on the floor. They step over it, and there is also some red mosaic tile. Ooh.
Dun dun. So then he goes outside. He's with the priest guy, and they're kind of talking a little bit. And he says he's going to go take a walk, and comes across another murder scene.
Yep. The while they're standing in front of an old Charlie Chaplin sign pasted to the wall, they see a boat dredging up a body up out of the water.
Yeah. Guys in scuba suits pushing her by the butt, up onto the boat.
Yeah.
She's and all muddy and gross.
Yeah, she's supposed to look swollen and muddy, and it's a very long scene.
It really is.
It takes a long time. But part of what I thought was cool is while he's looking at this, there's a flashback to him dangling just for just a second of it. But instead of him successfully continuing to dangle, he falls. So it's this neat little scene oh, what if I'd fallen instead? Wouldn't that have been terrible?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the bishop does the grossest little bitty sign of the cross you could possibly ever do.
It's a confined space cross.
Yeah, exactly. It's the 3-inch punch of the cross. The Father and the Son and the 3-inch punch.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. And that happens.
That happens. John heads back to the hotel to pack up all the shit.
Yeah, that's the scene where the maid comes out of the bathroom with a magazine and he just leers at her like a creepy murderer.
It would have been so great if she said, "Do not go in there for a few minutes."
I haven't shat in 10 years.
I wouldn't go in there if I were you. I wouldn't go into there if I was you.
This scene becomes very important to the plot. We see Donnie South sucks at picking up a tube of toothpaste. Which is important to the plot. Packs up some stuff, gets on a boat, and while he's on the boat, he sees another boat going the other way, and on that boat is his wife and the two sisters, the psychic Christian sisters. They're all standing very posedly on a boat going the opposite direction. So Donnie South turns out sucks at chasing a boat from a different boat.
Yeah. They're all decked in black. They look pretty somber.
Mm-hmm.
And he's, obviously surprised to see his wife, hasn't actually gone to England. So he goes to chase after the boat, and it's the most inept chase. Except for maybe the one coming up at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Where he runs into a boat cabin.
Oh my God.
Shin level for no reason.
Yeah. So I've never seen someone try to chase another boat from a boat that they're not driving. Just, oh wait, let me try to run after that boat.
Yeah.
So then he goes and he talks to the horrible hotel manager, who is now in his attic loft room where there is some woman for some reason. And he's like, oh, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I don't want to talk to you.
I've done my job for the year.
Yeah. Am I still in this movie? Come on.
I have the young lady hiding up there.
Yeah, it's very spooky.
That was weird. Like he had this. It's like a trucker where they have like the little tiny cabin in the back of the cab of the truck.
Yeah. You'd think you could just stay in one of those amazing hotel rooms during the winter, but no.
Since all of them are empty.
Yeah. No, just keep on hanging out in your weird little stink cabin,
your little loft, your lobby loft.
Yeah. And so Donnie South decides that he is immediately going to go to the world's worst sketch artist.
Yeah. I was like, who are these two old men this guy is drawing?
Yeah. And I like that he was drawing it directly on the transparent for an overhead projector. And then instead of giving him that one, he pulls up these other ones that had already been printed out. He's like, here you go.
Yeah, so he's gone to the police station to try to get the police to help him find his wife, apparently, because she's he saw her on the boat, and he wants them to help him find where the two sisters are, I guess, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he's like worried that like she'd been brainwashed a little bit by them or whatever. He's
worried, and obviously the cop is concerned because he's probably thinking about all the murders.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you talking about the world's worst police detective?
Oh my God, that guy. He looks out the window and sees two women walking by arm in arm. One is clearly guiding the other, which would mean that she's blind.
It's them.
He just ignores it.
Yeah, he's like, tell me more. And he has a giant Italian flag on the wall. Yeah. Also, over his office is very big. It's very spacious, and Donnie South sits on a couch across from his desk, all the way across the room to have this conversation.
Yeah, it's like 30 feet away.
Yeah, and above the couch is a giant painting of the future's Detective Sipowicz from NYPD Blue. Which I thought was incredible. It just gives more psychic foresight for this movie.
Yeah, pretty impressive that they broke the fourth wall.
Yeah. So he's telling the guy all about his wife. He's like, oh yeah, my wife was super depressed and shit. And then he talked to these ladies and now she's happy. And that just makes me mad. And to which the detective looks at these worst sketches and he's like, age makes women grow to look more like each other.
And by each other, I mean 80-year-old men.
Yeah. He's like, when as men decay, they become more distinct, but women converge. To which Donnie South replies, I hadn't thought about it.
Yeah. Doesn't he say something like, it's better when the drawing doesn't look like them or something like that?
He says it doesn't matter. It's like, doesn't matter. And that was later when the wife goes to talk to him, and that's even a whole other weird thing. We'll get to that. We'll come back to that.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's asking Donnie South what he's worried about. He's like, well, there's a killer on the loose. My wife is not a woman. And the detective is like, yes, of course. I hadn't thought. There must be more. And then we see that the detective, instead of taking notes this whole time, has been drawing like over the sketch to make it look like a shitty monster. I don't know.
Yeah, he's a really bad cop.
He's so bad at being a cop.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and then Donnie South leaves. He's traversing the walkways, bridges, and canals of Venice.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys following him.
He's got the worst tail ever.
Yeah, this becomes very important to the plot.
Yeah.
And Donnie South makes his way to a hotel where he continues to be a real piece of shit whenever he gets a bell in his hand.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, this is where he has that conversation with the two ladies where suddenly he cannot speak Italian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bumbling conversation.
Yeah.
Where
go ahead.
Yeah, well, he gets the ladies to let him into the room where the sisters were staying, except they're gone.
Yeah. Gasp.
They've left. They've packed up their shit and left.
Yeah. Yep. It's a very long scene. At that point, the guy that's following him shows up and thanks him and shows him his murder squad card.
Yeah, what was that? He wanted them to lead him to where the sisters were staying? Is that what that was about?
I guess so. I don't know. Murder
That
squad.
made no sense. Murder squad.
Yeah. And then he continues to follow Donnie South around. Donnie South goes to some Catholic place where the bishop is.
Mm-hmm.
He talks to a nun while in the front of the shot is a giant, really cool Pope statue. Yeah. He goes to see the priest. It's a weird, awkward. The priest is already in a meeting with some lady. We just see a room in which there's a lady talking to the priest and another priest, and the other priest is like playing with paperwork. Mm-hmm. This becomes very important to the plot. And then we see the murder squad guy is now trying to casually lean against a fireplace because he is the worst spy ever. I don't know. It's so weird.
Yeah, that whole part is pointless.
Yeah.
And then he meets up with the bishop finally, and basically it just ends with him asking to use the guy's phone.
Yeah.
And then he calls the kid's school, his kid's school, and Laura is in England. Oh, what a shock!
But no, you're not giving this scene its due. Because,
that's when we see the golf ball.
Yeah, I think that's when we see the golf ball, but we also see he calls the boarding school and he talks to some lady who proceeds to tell him everything there is to know about how well his son is doing. And right. Only after talking to him for a long time about how his son is fine, she's like, oh, by the way, I'm sure you'd rather just talk to your wife instead of me. She's been standing next to me this whole time. Here she is.
Now that I've told you everything you want to know.
Yeah. She's just been listening to me tell you about your son.
Here she is.
Yeah.
So they agree she's coming back that same day or whatever.
Yep.
And he's obviously confused, doesn't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, he's confused that she's still in England. He doesn't understand.
Yeah. And then next thing you know, he's back at the police station because of his shenanigans, the sisters were arrested. Wait. It's like, what?
I put Donnie South sucks at not getting nice little old ladies arrested.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he got them arrested for being nice little old ladies. And because the world's worst police detective is like, a blind old lady must be a murderer.
Must be arrested. So he meets up and he apologizes profusely and agrees to take the blind lady back to her home.
Yep. I put Donnie South sucks at conversation while walking a blind lady around Venice.
Yeah, they have a lovely unnatural conversation on their way back. She thanks him because it's so nice to have a man around.
Yep.
And then Laura arrives at the airport. Kind of interspersed there, we see her arriving at the airport, and then in the meantime, he walks they ride a boat, or no, she rides a boat.
Yeah, she's riding a boat, and she's like, "We're going to this place," and the guy's like, "Yeah," and she's like, "But this isn't the way to that place," and he's like, "Yeah." She's like, "So where are we going?" She's like, "Oh, I'm taking you to where your husband is." It's a real shit conversation.
They told me to take you here.
Yeah. He's not there.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I know your husband. I'm just some boat guy.
God, that's so strange.
Yeah.
So John and the lady arrive, Donnie South and the blind lady arrive at the place wherever they're staying.
Mm-hmm.
The other sister opens the door. She had been sitting there in total darkness, which made no sense. She opens the door and then turns the light on.
Yep.
Has them come in.
Yep. Donnie South locks the door behind him, like takes the key out of the door and closes it behind him, obviously to murder them.
Yeah, sure.
I do like there is a note that we find out that the reason that they switched hotels was because they'd heard that there had been a prowler lurking around their hotel. That was Donnie South.
Yeah.
That was drunk Donnie South doing some loitering.
That's correct. He's such a jerk.
Yeah.
So Laura's at the police station, and they give her directions to the lady's place. This is like the hijinks part of the movie where people are just never quite connecting.
Yeah. The world's worst police officer gives her directions by ripping off most of the sheet of paper. So like he just rips off a little bit of the top of a sketch and then writes like one sentence on this giant 3/4 of a sheet of paper and hands that to her for some reason. And that's whenever she looks at it and she's like, "Oh, this doesn't really look like them at all." And that's when he says, "It doesn't matter."
Oh, man. Yeah, that makes no sense.
He also gives her back the photograph that Donnie South left. It's a photo of her. And now for some reason, her face is all smudged off of it.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah.
That was right. Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I was like, well, maybe it was just a bad glare, but no, it was smudged off. Okay.
Yeah, it was smudged off. Detective Worst must have smudged off her face.
That's right.
Yeah.
So at that sister's place, the blind lady flips her shit.
Yeah.
Like when he decides that he's going to leave, then she flips her shit. Or does she start to flip shit while he's there?
I think it's like he's like, "Well, I should leave now." And then she is obviously having a medical emergency, to which he looks behind to see that she's having a medical emergency and proceeds to exit the situation.
Yeah. Fetch him back.
Yeah. She says that a lot. This is from the era of movies when repeating the same like 3 or 4 words over and over and over again was considered effective filmmaking.
It was considered a good idea.
Yeah. This will make it creepier. What if she said it again and again and again?
Yeah. He does not come back. The one lady tries to call out to him, but he's already gone. And then we hear footsteps and Laura comes running around the corner. So everybody's missing everyone else.
Yep. Yep, everyone's they're just not linking up. He's walking around Venice. At this point, we pan to the priest's room where he's sleeping in the world's tiniest bed. And at this point, there is 10 minutes left to the movie, and nothing has happened.
He wakes up, looks over at a red candle, turns the light out, and goes back to bed.
Yeah, he does.
Great.
Okay.
Meanwhile, back at the movie, the sisters send Laura to go after John.
Yep.
And he, in the meantime, has now seen a small figure in a red coat.
Yeah. Yeah.
On the other side of the canal.
Yeah. To which Johnny South's obvious response is, "Hey, look, a small child. I will chase it around the dark nighttime streets of Venice and call out to it, 'Come here. Hey, wait.'"
Like he's now convinced it's his daughter, I guess. I don't know what exactly.
Yeah. But he chases a small hooded person that you could reasonably assume is a child.
Yeah.
So gives chase to a child that is trying to escape him.
Yeah, they scamper over boats and docks, and he runs like full frontal runs right into the cabin of a boat for no reason.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't supposed to be, I guess that he didn't see it or something, but he just runs right into it.
Yeah, and at a certain point they're running, and the small cloaked figure runs through a iron gate, and so when he gets there, he closes and locks the gate behind him so that the child he's chasing cannot escape. Donnie South, obvious murderer.
Child murderer.
Yeah. We then move to a 1980s music video level scene with Smoke Machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even swirling on the floor and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It's real good.
That was a little odd.
Yeah. And then
he just keeps going deeper into the building, and then at some point
saying, "I'm coming."
There's like a small window, like a transom or something above one of the doorways, and he can see he sees like the cloak, and he hears the
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's supposed to be like crying, like it's sad, maybe.
Yeah, whimpering. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, not laughing.
And then he's like, "I'm a friend. I won't hurt you. Come on." You know, things that you say to a child that you've just chased through the streets of a strange city at night.
Yeah. Into the set of a rock video.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Laura has gotten to the gate that he locked behind him. She's reaching her arm through the gate and she says, "Darlings," plural, like two darlings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That. Yeah.
Yep.
Sure. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
She can't get in, and then we cut back for the money shot.
Yep.
So he goes up the stairs to where the whimpering cloaked figure is, and comes in, and I forget what he says to her when he gets up there.
He's like, "I'm a friend. I won't hurt you. Come on."
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
And he says something, and then the figure turns around, and shock, it's a really old female dwarf. Yep.
It is a small person who either has a crick in her neck or is shaking her head no. I'm not really sure, but either way, it was effectively creepy.
Yeah, I think she's shaking her head no. I forget what it was he says. He says something that's kind of open-ended.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think maybe he's implying, I don't remember what it was he said, but he says something, so she shakes her head no, and then he's, obviously shocked, and then she whips out she whips out a big old knife.
Yeah. Yeah.
And hacks him in the throat.
Yeah. Yeah, gets a real good shot at that neck.
It looked pretty. It was actually a pretty good effect. She hacks him, but then the blood looked ridiculous.
Yeah.
Looked like red frosting.
At this point, it starts flashing to all of the other scenes in the movie. There's big old church bell sounds. So there's, the all of the, like, the blood in the slide from the beginning of the movie, and even like whenever he's like bleeding and convulsing on the floor, and his big old dumb foot breaks the transom window, and then that pairs up with the pane of glass that his son rode his bike over. We even get a flashback to him doing weird arm stuff while having sex.
That's right.
And yeah,
his life and his revelation way too late that he is indeed psychic and was in danger flashes before his eyes.
Yep. Yeah, I guess.
Surprise, you're dead.
Yeah, I guess that's what was happening. I don't know. I feel like in this scene, little baby M. Night Shyamalan was like, what if a movie did actual foreshadowing?
What if
I will
all
use
my
red.
movies?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. I called it a synchronicity montage.
Yeah. It's like, what if foreshadowing was actually after shadowing, where now we go back and play all the things that we thought of as foreshadowing to show you that it was foreshadowed.
Yeah, that's right. I will say, though, that scene is pretty creepy when she turns around.
Oh, absolutely. Because you're like, I guess, because I didn't come at it not knowing. I came at it with the movie spoiled for me. I guess at that point, there's supposed to be hope left that it is Christine. Okay.
I guess so. I mean, I think at that point, most people have got to know that it's not good.
Yeah.
But I think the payoff is that, you have no idea. Like, even if you suspect it's a little person, she looks so striking. And that look on her face is just priceless.
Yeah.
She's pretty great.
Yeah, it is a highly effective scene, especially because without this scene, it would have not been a horror movie at all.
Yeah, that's true. It would have just been a weird drama.
Yeah, up until this moment. Yeah, up until this moment, there's been no real like horror movie business.
Yeah, and then I guess the implication is that obviously that the dwarf has been going around drowning women in canals, but for some reason feels the need to kill him, which doesn't make any sense. I guess because he's following her.
Yeah, I guess because he chased her back. Maybe that's like her little like hiding spot.
Yeah, because when he gets in the room, she's got her face kind of like Blair Witch style, like her face is in the corner.
Yeah,
up against the wall, which was pretty cool.
Yeah,
and you're like, dude, really? You're gonna fall for this?
Yeah, here, let me come in more. But yeah, I mean, it's a highly effective scene. It's just like out of nowhere. And is it a knife or is it like a shaving razor? I don't know. She does it real good. She like whips that thing out of her pocket, like while she's shaking her head, and she's just like, I'm going to get you.
Yeah. I just assumed it was a knife, but it could have been like a straight razor or something. It looked pretty substantial.
Yeah.
But she hacks him. That's the crazy thing, is that instead of cutting his throat, she just hacks right into the side of his neck.
Yeah, like an axe.
You even see his neck kind of open up. It's pretty gross.
Yeah. And I guess he must have been like on stairs or something, because, she was up at his neck level, and we've already seen that he's about 7'8".
Yeah, that might have been maybe a bit problematic.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's a great scene. It's definitely worthy of the highlight reels. It's just hard to imagine what someone going into this movie fresh for the first time was expecting to happen.
Right. Well, and then there's a little bit at the end, I guess, where we see the boat scene again. Laura is on the boat with the two sisters, and it turns out that what he saw was essentially a premonition of his own funeral.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Shocker. And then my final note worst parents ever.
Yeah, terrible, terrible parents. Because, you see, even on the funeral boat, there's no son.
The kid is not there.
He is not there for his dad's funeral. She's like, you stay at school, honey. Try not to get assaulted so much. I'm going to go bury your dad.
I'm going to go bury your dad in the horrible city that killed him.
Yeah.
That he's not from.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, this movie is at times exceptionally boring, but it's also very interesting. There is some real artistry that goes into it, and the ending is totally nuts.
Yeah, the ending's bad shit for sure. It's very well known for the ending, which has probably traumatized thousands of people.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I mentioned this before. This is growing up. My mom told me this is the scariest movie that has ever existed.
Yeah, a lot of people feel that way about
Yeah.
it, which is funny because it really isn't scary at all until the end. I mean, it is. Well, it is kind of creepy. I mean, there are moments that are that and maybe in the 70s it felt more authentic.
Yep.
Now of course it's impossible to separate the fact that it's the 70s as you're watching it because
Yep.
it's not the 70s.
Yeah.
And it's very much of the 70s. It's a 70s style, the coloring, the sound, the way the film stock has aged and all that kind of stuff. It just, it just has that, the acting, the goofy sound design and, things that film directors won't do now unless they're trying to ape the 70s.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It was definitely, you can see the, stylistic transition in this movie, and you can absolutely see the effect that it's had on movies since then. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of stuff in here. I would say that possibly Cronenberg's The Brood is like basically a sequel to this. Because all of those kids have single color bright slickers, are gross when they turn around, and want to kill you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy, that's a hell of a movie too.
Yeah. And of course, I was watching this with my significant other, and she'd never seen it before. She didn't know what to expect. It hadn't been spoiled for her. So watching this movie all the way through, she was like, okay, I get it. He's actually dead this whole time, right? No? Okay. She's actually dead this whole time? No? Okay. So you can see the expectations. You can see what, Lil M. Night Shyamalan was thinking whenever he watched this movie and ended up making The Sixth Sense, which is kind of like watching this movie, but with different things that happen.
Yeah, but with Bruce Willis.
Yeah, Bruce Willis. A shinier upgrade over Donnie South.
Yeah, much less hair.
Yeah. But yeah, this is pretty good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed getting to experience it more than enjoying the movie in its fullness. But I definitely enjoyed the impact that it's had on the movies that have come since.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has holds a good place in the horror world. And if you're a horror movie fan, it's definitely one you want to see if you haven't already. I do think it was. As you had said, it runs a little long. It's not, there's just, there's no reason for it to run that long because ultimately the story is fairly simple.
Yep.
And I think it would have been a lot more effective if those points were hit, more quickly. I mean, it was just tightened up. I think it would have helped, but I don't know what the hell was tightened up in the 70s. Not much.
Yeah, no. And this was an era of, long horror movies. They hadn't figured out that if a horror movie goes over 90 minutes, it's harder and harder to keep that running. We're now entering a phase of movies where they'll occasionally spill out of 90 minutes because of it being a special kind of horror movie. But this was not that era.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a horror movie. Yeah, make it 2 hours.
Yeah, these were Hollywood productions, and they had Hollywood money, Hollywood actors, and stuff behind them. I mean, obviously this wasn't a big budget movie, but I mean, it was a studio production. I think it's a Paramount film, and it's it's just it was a different world back then.
Yeah, a scary world.
Yeah,
And a little
very
bit
dirty.
of a, yeah, and a boring world.
It's somewhat boring.
Yeah, a little
and
bit boring.
people bled strawberry milk.
I have a sequel idea for this movie, and that is Don't Look Now 2, Look Who's Looking Now. And it has moved to New York. We find out that the now modern day Detective Sipowicz from NYPD Blue is going to be on the case, and it turns out that the baby conceived by John and Laura in this movie is now a dwarf murderer running around the streets of New York in bright blue, because NYPD Blue. It's an NYPD Blue and Don't Look Now crossover sequel.
And of course, at some point you're going to prominently feature the Crosland Hotel.
Yeah, the Brazenly Hotel.
Brazenly.
And I'm sure Kiefer Sutherland will be in there.
Fantastic.
Yes, it turns out they only have 24 hours to solve this case.
24 hours to not be killed by a dwarf in blue.
Yeah.
I mean, that's gonna be box office gold.
That's going to be the good stuff. That's where we get the awards.
Oh man. Woo.
All right, so I guess final thoughts on the movie before we rank it.
I enjoyed it. It's the first time I've watched it where I was really like, I mean, watching it on the computer is always a different experience. So it was seeing it up close and kind of being more aware of the artistic and stylistic choices and stuff like that. And having seen so many more horror films since the last time I saw this. I mean, it's been probably 10 years. And then compared to the first time when, I didn't really know what to think, but then that last scene just messed me up because I wasn't expecting it. I enjoyed it. It was, I think, like we had said, it's a little long. It's it's got some issues, but overall, I think it's a interesting horror film. It's got a kind of a unique take, and the performances are good for the most part, and I liked it.
Yeah,
how about you?
Yeah, I'm the same. I got bored at parts there, but it kept me in for the most part. It did have a weird sense of humor, and part of that could just be my own weird sense of humor watching it. But there were lots of things that whenever the tension wasn't there, I was able to laugh at the weird nonsense going on. Mm-hmm. So it has watchability. It has that legacy. It has those artistic qualities that are in there. I fully enjoyed it. So for me, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. If it wasn't such a famous big deal movie that was important to other movies that came afterwards, I might not give it a 5, but I don't feel like doing a hot take and throwing this a 3 out of 5.
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny. Yeah, it's funny. I going into this, I just assumed I would give it a 5, and after rewatching it, I think I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Ooh. I think the payoff is cool. It's definitely an iconic scene. The sex scene, the drama that goes along with the sex scene doesn't. I mean, in 2021, it's just like whatever. Yeah. So it's hard to, I get it, but at the same time, it's just whatever. But I like it. I like the feel of it. It does drag a little bit, and I think it could have been a little bit tighter. So as much as I think it hits a lot of cool notes, I don't know that it necessarily is just hits all the notes for me.
Yep. Yeah, I'm thinking about it like like people. There's famously a modern day pitcher that said. Babe Ruth is considered the greatest baseball player of all time, but he would suck at baseball today. I could easily strike out Babe Ruth every single time. I think it's like that. If I'm grading this movie based on today's standards, I would say a 3, but like based on the time that it was and what it's meant to the thing as a whole, it's a whole different thing, but I suck at ratings.
Well, they're subjective, so it's whatever.
Yep. Okay, so that gives us a 9 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I would say if you have seen this movie now and you've listened to us talk about it, give us your hot take on the film. You can find us on a variety of social media platforms. The next time we record, I will have a list ready so I can tell you what those are, because I don't have that right now. But look for us all over the place. We are at Loathsome Things Podcast somewhere, and you'll be able to find us, maybe.
Yeah, we're on Twitter, Facebook.
Yeah. And do you want to tell the nice people what we'll be watching next time?
Yeah. So next time up, we're going to pick a new movie. And it's one that I had seen the trailer for and had kind of just forgotten about it. It didn't look very impressive to me. But then I had read some articles that kind of sparked my interest, and I figured it was worth checking out. So what we're going to watch is a film called The Empty Man.
Yeah, The Empty Man. I've been seeing stuff around about it. It looks interesting.
It does. If you watch the trailer, and I've read this in several reviews, if you base your desire to watch this entirely on the trailer, you're probably not going to be interested unless you're a teenager, because it looks like one of those tall man ripoff or some sort of creepypasta type thing, which in and of itself is fine, but it didn't look particularly interesting. It looked kind of routine, like Candyman or something, but like a riff on that. And I'm sure those elements are in there, but it sounds like it's a totally different kind of thing, and that the trailer didn't really do a good job of kind of giving you an idea what you're going to see. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. It's also part of that group of modern horror movies that are like, oh no, we want to blow way past 90 minutes. So,
yeah, it is a long one.
So that'll be good. We'll get to compare a old long horror movie to a new long horror movie.
That's true. Yeah. And it would be fun to do something new that we haven't seen either.
Yeah. Up to this point, it's all been things that we've both been pretty familiar with. So this will be a fresh take. All our own.
Right. That's right.
So look forward to that. If you want to, go ahead and watch that movie before you start listening to that. We should be releasing that in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, guys.